Hello, Charlie TCG here. Welcome back to Looking Ahead, the series where I break down and analyse the meta, what's happening over in Japan, and how will it impact Taiwan. Today is a very exciting video. I'm seeing exactly how much the meta has really shaken up in the post-rotation format since the Champions League a few weekends ago over in Japan. We're going to see exactly the impact of decks like the Tera Box, as well as also Gholdengo, has really had to the meta, impacting the huge archetypes like Dragonpult and Raging. Are they now really kept in check? Plus some brand new cards got revealed, including some of the new owner's card mechanic, which I for one am very excited. I know we just had EUIC, but the post-rotation format is constantly evolving, and I'm so excited about this one that I got to play a little bit more over this weekend. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the video and look at these new cards. So, we saw Arven's mechanic kind of got revealed of the owner's cards, and I, for one, think it's actually quite impressive. So, we saw Arven's Massive EX, which has 270 HP with 2 good attacks. The first one, Hustler Tackle, does 30 damage, and if this Pokemon has no damage counter on, do 120 more damage. 150 for 1 NG is very powerful. The next one for 3 colors NG is Boss's Headbutt, 210 damage, and you can't use this attack next turn. So I think this deck is going to really focus on its first attack, really making sure you constantly have a healed up and massive every single turn. How we can do this? We can use the likes of Arven Sandwich, healing pretty much 100 damage from Massive, which is very, very powerful if it's in the active spot, and it is an Arven's Pokemon, so it gets that additional bonus effect. So how we can really chain this one is using the likes of Arven's Greedent, which is when you evolve this into your Arven's Greedent, you get to search your discard pile for up to 2 Arven Sandwiches and put them into your hand. So a good way to constantly chain them away. You have the likes of Scoop Up Cyclone, as well as also Churro, and it's also only 1 energy. We even have the likes of Rescue Scratcher. So there's a lot of good synergy to make this sort of a healing, sort of tank style archetype, having soaking up an attack to 270 damage, constantly healing with the likes of Arven Sandwich, Churros, as well as also the likes of so Scoop Up Cyclone, and constantly chain them with the likes of Arven's Grievin. For me personally, I really like this one. We also have this new Zoroark as well. For 3 lightning energies, Thunder Blitz, discard all energies from this Pokemon. This attack does 210 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon EX. I feel like this is an exact counter to the likes of Serendipity. Obviously, we can't attack the likes of the Ogre but this pretty much guaranteeing a one-hit KO on a Serendipity on the bench is very powerful. This is a great new tool for the likes of Slowking decks really to take effect of. So now let's actually look at the City League meta share to see exactly how much has changed. We can see here it has changed quite a lot. Like the Dragonpult and Raging numbers have gone down significantly. Dragonpult last week was about 26%. Now it's gone down to nearly 17%. So that's a very, very huge drop off from where it is. We can see the likes of Clefairy went from 6% all the way up to 14.5%, nearly double as well. This deck has absolutely just surprised me. And kind of seen it in action this weekend. It is absolutely a huge checkmatey deck against the likes of Dragonpult, against any of these stage 2 archetypes, which really rely on these low HP basics, as with no Manaphy, no really good bench protection, except like Rabska, Wellspring Ogerpon is very, very powerful. Raging numbers have also gone down, because obviously you have likes of Clefairy getting these huge one-hit KOs on the likes of these Raging Bolt, which is very difficult. Gholdengo numbers have also gone up, just a little bit from 9% to 12.2%. I really like this. I think Gholdengo is a great deck in post-rotation. We saw how powerful of a weekend it had over EUIC, including that top 8 finish. So we already have Gholdengo very much on our radar right now, and right near the end and tail end of our format. We know it's doing well in post-rotation, so I expect this number to really kind of constantly increase. Archaludon has also had a little bit of a change. Obviously, it still has the likes of the makes a focus of the 3 or 4 thick line of Archaludon, as well as also one of his Hop Zacian as his big sort of end game sort of attacking option. But most of them are going to have likes of his Hops of double, have an additional gusting effect, because they still want to play their support of a turn and don't really want to waste it on like a boss's orders. Having likes of the Black Belt's training to additional 50 more damage to an EX, as well as also having guaranteed gusting with the likes of a double, it's very, very strong. Charizard numbers have kind of like dwindled just a little bit, still focusing more on the Terrapagos engine, having a huge sort of bench as well, kind of relying on Noctowl as well to help get the setup pieces. But some decks are trying to trickle in the likes of Pidgeot back into the archetype instead of just relying on likes of Noctowl to get the stuff. Zacian builds have gone up a little bit, more of a spread style archetype I've kind of noticed, or definitely focusing more on Archaludon as the main partner of choice. Again, Gardevoir numbers, again, falling down just a little bit, but I think Gardevoir is still trying to figure out exactly how it's working. I think now seeing how powerful Clefairy is in its own, Clefairy is still kind of like made a case to stay in Gardevoir. People really are focusing on having a brilliant blender, getting rid of as many energies, be that fast, aggressive style archetype, potentially even going to have that Arven build to get out the rare candy, so you can try and get Gardevoir as quick as possible. And even Flareon as well. Obviously got top 16 at the Champions League, and I feel like that's really put it on the map. It did get a couple wins this weekend, and very, very strong. For its first attack to pretty much do for 2 energies, or if you have Sparkling Crystal, just 1, Energy Accelerate for 130 damage, or its other attack to 280. Very, very powerful, pretty much one-shotting everything in the format. I think this is really huge representation, but how the meta has really started to evolve. We've seen likes of a Tera Box, which I genuinely think, after seeing how well it did over in the Champions League and kind of seeing some testing about it this weekend, I think this summer is going to skyrocket to be potentially the best deck right now in format. I think having likes of Wellspring Mask Ogopon pretty much guaranteed to do pretty much knock out two Pokemon EX and bench basics, which is very, very strong. Get to shuffle the energies back in, reutilize the likes of Crisp in the later game, and having a Clefairy as well, really making sure even Mew can copy likes of Dragapult's attack, as well as also guarantee a KO on this one. This is very, very scary. So decks like Dragapult and Rage Bolt really have to evolve to see exactly where they can kind of go into this one. Do they have to go much more of a slower approach? Again, make sure you have the stable board state. For example, with Dragapult, kind of sit there with a the likes of Badu, going a little bit slower approach, and then eventually going into a Dragapult to establish a huge board state and try and under the item lock to slow down the likes of the Clefairy Tera Box. So I'm really excited to see the meta's really changed. If we look at sort of the top 4 archetypes, we can see here it's kind of telling exactly the same sort of story. We're seeing Dragapult being nearly 20% of all the top 4s, but also the likes of Lily's Clefairy. This goes constantly in this sort of winning archetype. The same thing likes of Raging. These the 3 definitely were the top winning archetypes over this past week over in Japan, and it's definitely a good representation about where the post-rotation format is going. We do see Archaludon being nearly 10% of all of the top 4s, which I really like. I still think, like I mentioned before, it does need that Hop Zacian to actually do that huge damage at the end, but having black belts and training as well as also double, it's kind of like made the case against it as well, and I really like how it's really changing. And then again, we have some really good other fire type decks as well. Charizard as well, it definitely lost a lot in post-rotation, especially losing the likes of the Collapse Stadium, losing the likes of Forest of Stone, Rotom, Luminion, and of course Radiant Charizard. So try to have that other secondary attacking option, hence why likes of Trapagos is a great option, and Flareon as well is really good. You can obviously get its first attack out from that likes of the EV and EVEX. So I really like how this deck is really going to function going forward. So now let's actually look at some of these winning archetypes. Let's start off with looking at Dragapult. We can see here, this is a really nice Dragapult and kind of a list that I've really been playing a lot in the post-rotation format. Did actually get quite a few games over in EUIC, so expect some fun post-rotation videos with myself and Justin in the next coming weeks. So we see this one here is very simple to where we've mostly seen Dragonpult. Gone over the likes of Juck, which I do think is a good sort of case to have into this one, to guarantee getting either your Dusknoirs, your likes of Dragapult, as well as also Dragapult, Dracloak and Dragapult, which I really like. I also like Defiance Ban this one, making sure that Dragapult can do 230 damage, not relying on either likes of a Hawlucha or Dusclops play to actually guarantee to get just over the line. So I really like that synergy. I think Research is great, but there are so many key cards you don't want to discard with Dragapult. I think this could be very much a greedy, potentially even a last resort to try and get a stable setup. I think Artisan is a great stadium to play right now. You don't have Temple of Sinnoh anymore, so you don't need to rely on likes of Lugia because that deck is completely gone. So I think you really want to focus more on your established board state. That's why you can go to the 2 Artisan, and definitely I feel like going to that 2 sort of Badu as well. Hawlucha is great because lots of these really good evolving basics kind of like have 70 HP, so guaranteeing removing that sort of limitation, putting that 10 damage on, so guaranteeing the KO of Dragapult is really, really crucial and key for this style matchup. This other build as well is very good, and kind of like we're seeing a lot of resurgence over in Japan. We're seeing the return of Xatu, which me personally, I'm not a huge sort of fan on this one. The Zacian obviously is great. Having that energy acceleration as well as also inbuilt draw is perfect. Obviously, that's something that Dragapult can really struggle with. It only really relies on Dracloak as its sort of draw engine and serendipity. So kind of having the Zacian, having a guaranteed energy attachment, as well as also drawing 2 cards is really, really crucial for their setup. We can see here they still play the likes of, they have the likes of Jacques, which is really powerful. Even Draden as well. I tried Draden out in the likes of Champao, which I think is a great sort of substitution to sometimes Irido. But this could be really good. Getting your one of rare candy, getting your sort of one of sort of Pokemon cards, which is really, really good, kind of like get you back into the game and go to more unfair stamp, kind of like have a good sort of trade to see exactly why likes of Xatu build is really strong. And even having the Monkey Dory with the Darkness Energy, we saw how powerful this was at EUIC, having some sort of Darkness Energy, Monkey Dory, even Blowing Earth Luna Dragapult. So I really like this sort of synergy, and this is exactly the list I want to talk about here. Exactly the same sort of build what I just talked we saw it originally, but having the unfair stamp, having sort of the Blowing Earth Luna as a good sort of attacking in the late sort of style game, but also having the EXP share and Mela, another way to have these energy acceleration, which I really like. I really love EXP share in Dragapult, kind of like guaranteeing an energy attachment. before you even get attachment as well, which is really perfect. And this Bravery Charm as well, protecting your Dreepies, protecting your Duskulls in the mirror matchup. I love this sort of innovation we're seeing in Dragapult. All three lists, we've seen how important Defiance Band is. You're always going to be behind sometimes, and sometimes you can force yourself to be behind by using the likes of Dusclops and Dusknoir. So having that additional more 30 more damage, which is really, really powerful for Dragapult to keep up with. Now, let's actually look at the Tera Box. I feel like Tera Box is much better than the likes of Counterbox, which I talked about, but I think this deck is absolutely powerful and potentially could be the BDIF in the post-rotation format. We can see here we do play the 2 copies of both Ogerpons, the Wellspring, as well as also Tilmas. This is very powerful. They're not even this list here playing like the Trapagos, but they are playing something which I love about this one. They're playing the Bloodmountain Luna, as well as also some of these good sort of key cards as well, which the deck really needs. I think having a 1 copy of Churro as well as also Judge is great. Having that disruptor capability of Judge, it's really scary in the first few turns. I know obviously it's good because you get 6 cards, but your opponent also gets 6 cards. Judge, you know, when you have a really good established board state, forcing them to go from potentially even 7 cards to 4 is very much a huge disruption effect for them. And having the Churro as well, picking up your liabilities is great. One thing I love is having this 80 HP Hutu. I know this obviously doesn't work with the likes of Belly Puffin, but what's powerful about this one is, like I mentioned before, Dragapult is going to the Halucha plays plus the 6 damage counters that way, obviously KOing the likes of these Baby Hootoos and Fan Rotoms. So kind of having its 80 HP one really protects your board state from quite a lot instead of getting these huge one-hit KOs that the opponent can get and potentially even take 3 prizes. So that's one thing I really love about having the 80 HP Hootoot. Now, also, I think having the Ditto is another great sort of synergy as well. Kind of like getting any Pokemon you want to have and potentially even reutilizing it from the likes of Night Stretcher as well, which is another great sort of synergy. But this build here is very much how we're used to seeing them as well. Having a Trapagos as well, but also having this new Tapu Koko EX, which I don't believe is released for us yet. Doing 60 damage plus 20 more for each of your bench Pokemon. Obviously, it's basically Clefairy, but obviously doing a little bit less, just focusing on your board site instead of your opponent's one. But I really can see the synergy work in the style of archetype. I really like this one. It's a good attack, potentially even on your first sort of turn. If you go second, another great sort of way around this one. But yeah, I think Tera Box is definitely here to stay and a really, really scary deck moving forward. Another one as well is Raging Bolt. And Raging Bolt hasn't changed too much pretty much since we've seen it over in since we started post-rotation. But this one here does play like some Picnic Basket. The reason I think Picnic Basket is in here is actually guaranteeing you can heal most of your stuff from the board. As you know, Dragapult is going to be spreading them around. Kind of like putting a couple around over on Ogerpon, so you can actually guarantee a boss KO with that later on. Or potentially just hitting it to the Hootoos as well, potentially picking up 2 or even 3 prizes in the later game. So having this Picnic Basket, getting that additional healing factor on is really, really powerful for Raging Bolt. You are seeing here, we are less playing the likes of the only less copies of Bravery Charm, only the one of in here. I still love the Crispin as well, because Crispin also has that energy acceleration. It's basically Sada, but you get both energies, which I really, really love. Of course, they must Ogerpon as well to protect yourself. It can be a little bit of a warning style archetype at the start. Also having 3 copies of Energy Switch as well. This deck here is a little bit more different. You're moving around all the energies. If you have them with Ogerpons, or generally if you have them from Sada, you can just move around your energies and actually attack with your Cornerstone Master Ogerpon much earlier on. Even the Jamming Tower as well. I really like Jamming Tower moving forward. If we've seen how powerful the likes of not Raging Bolt, Dragapult really has been. They really focus on their tool cards, like their Sparkling Crystal, like their EXP share, like for right now, having that Defiance Band. So kind of like removing that and mitigating this one is really, really strong. So I think Jamming Tower is still not only just good in this format right now, but definitely even better in the post-rotation format when we have no instant tool removal. Another one is Gholdengo, and Gholdengo is kind of having this new sort of limelight right now. It did really, really well over at EUIC, and we saw obviously got the Dragapult Gholdengo list did get top 4 over on Champions League, so kind of seen it kind of like go back to this sort of style build. I really like. You kind of like are still trying to figure out the best way for Gholdengo, but I really like how they focus on 2 great sort of attackers in this one. Kind of focus on Gholdengo as your main attacking option, having Cicero as well as a good secondary attacking option. That's also to Dunsparce for that really good additional draw factor. Potentially, you could have an argument to play it to Dunsparce EX in this one, only having for 1 energy, and pretty much win against a lot of these Terra style archetypes, as well as also Raging Bolt, which is another great sort of way around this one. But I really like how this deck is really focusing, going more on the Arven and even having the Jacques as well, guaranteeing you can get any of your Goldengos out for that good draw factor. So it's also getting your Scizor as well, a good secondary attacking option. The Team Evolution, I really, really love this one. Kind of like forcing your opponent to kind of like play around sort of plays you might want to do, but also guaranteeing you get your Goldengos, which I really, really love in the style of archetype. Another as well is Archaludon. I mentioned before that they're really focusing more on the double for that good gusting effect. And I think double kind of had a slow sort of beginning the last few weeks in post-rotation over in Japan, but I think it's going to get even stronger going forward. And I think this is going to be very, very powerful. So of course, here we do see the likes of Zacian EX is in here one, but not even the Hop Zacian EX. So that's something as well to really think about. This is the Generations one. There's another attacking option as well. So it does focus on having the Black Belt. So it's completely gone the main Hops engine, except having that double. So having forcing yourself to use a supporter, as well as also having that gusting effect as well. Really play around your opponent. You can be disruptive and also gust as well. Obviously, Archaludon has 300 HP. It is so difficult to predict one hit kill as it mitigates weakness going into this one. So kind of utilizing the great tools you have around yourself, like the Scoop Up Cyclone, like the Churro as well, I think is really strong going into this new format. And I really like how they kind of like changed a little bit. They're not focusing more on the Hopsville package and only really using the double as a good gusting effect. And we will kind of like, we'll see double really pick up in a lot of other decks. And again, this build here of Archaludon uses another good single prize attacking option, Sizzle. We mentioned it in Gholdengo previously, and I think it still could be even better. So many archetypes are playing abilities, so this is a great sort of attacking option in the game. But also, Reverie is a great draw engine in this deck. You want energies in your discard pile to power up Archaludon's ability, so kind of like drawing into 6 and getting energy in discard pile. This is a match made in heaven for this style of archetype. So again, I really like how Archaludon is actually changing a little bit and constantly evolving to much more of a woolly style archetype and has 3 different avenues. You can use the double for gusting effect, you can use this sort of style build here for drawing factor, or Hops one as well for this huge big blowout attacks in late game. Charizard as well, I mentioned before, has changed a little bit, and this one here is a really unique sort of archetype. It has the luxury, which is kind of picking up in a lot of decks right now. So you need to go behind in prizes, and sometimes you can force yourself to, without having that like of a Dusknoir. It's really, really strong because you can just have the lowest energy, sometimes even chuck the maximum belt in this one and do 230 damage, which KOs quite a lot of these Stage 1 or even these big basic EXs, which I really, really like. Also like in this one, having the Tera Orb, searching out your Charizard and your Trapicos is really strong. But one thing I focus on, if you look at this deck here, they really do focus on rare candies. There is no middle stages for both the likes of Charizard as well as also Dusknoir. So definitely something to be thinking about this one. This is a lot more of a toolboxy style archetype. Could this be the best way to play Charizard moving forward? Having the Pidgeot to Guarantine with a searching option and obviously Hoothoot as well, getting any sort of trainer card as well. This is a great sort of combo piece. But we've said goodbye to likes of Featherball, so you can't go Hoothoot to get out the rare candy and Featherball to get out the Pidgeot EX. So it's definitely something to think about going into post-rotation. How much is the deck really going to affect? Charizard has obviously changed a ton going into this new sort of format. Is this the best way to build this one? Or is generally Charizard still trying to figure out its way in this new format? Now also we see this Zacian spread, and for me personally, I think Zacian's best partner is having that Archaludon for that big powerful attacking option, but having Zacian spread sort of style archetype is really unique and really interesting. So obviously you're mainly going to be attacking with Zacian, doing 120 damage, and sometimes obviously cram right in the later game, do 210, but you've got to spread around a ton of damage out there as well. Use Monkey Dories for any damage on your board, you can move them around. Having that one energy switch as well makes you move around your darkness energies, which I absolutely love. Blood Moon Earth Luna is a great sort of late game attacking option. Having the Bravery Charm as well, forcing you to have a ton of HP, which should be very difficult for some decks to deal with. And obviously TM Devolution as well. I, for one, at EUIC got a huge sort of cheese play right on my winning in for day 2, where they had the TM Evolution play with Gardevoir, spread around a ton of damage counters, and took all their prizes that way. So I can really see that Zacian can really focus on that sort of spreads for this one. You're already doing 20 damage to the bench. Make sure you spread around that much with the Monkey Dory, healing as much damage as possible, switching in between your attacking options with having that jet energy as well. Me personally, I really, really like how this Zacian spread deck is really built, and definitely could be a really interesting style of archetype going forward. And of course, we did see spread do really well over in the juniors and seniors division in the Champions League as well. And this one here is a really interesting take. It does play the likes of Monkey Dory and the Frostas, which we're used to. Loads of damage on your side, move it around on the opponent's side. Also has the it's Pathra as well, making basic Pokemon need 1 energy as well to cost, and then you obviously can do a ton of damage in a late style game. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of this one. Very similar strategy like I just talked about, using the TM Devolution play to kind of like spread a ton of damage counters on this one, and as long as there's a correct amount of ones there, you can take potentially 4 or 5, or generally remove all their attacking option in the game, which is really powerful. Counter game to make sure you can attack, sometimes even for free, or as little energies as possible. And I love how we're playing 2 baby Pokemon. Having Cleffa is a great sort of the start option, drawing TF7, or having Badu as well, forcing your opponent under item lock, as well as also having constant strain on it using abilities or putting Pokemon in play with abilities, as you're always going to be putting them damage counters on this one. Generally, spread is looking pretty good post-rotation. I'm excited to see exactly how it's going to perform going forward. Another one is Gardevoir, and Gardevoir obviously lost a ton, but we're still seeing it do really, really well in post-rotation. We're seeing Lily kind of like make a good sort of, Lily's Clefairy, sorry, is making a good sort of dominant sort of play over in Gardevoir. Still playing Monkey Dory because spreading damage counters, because you already placed damage counters, is really, really strong. But having the Lily's Clefairy, make sure that pretty much all your psychic Pokemon are hitting for weakness. So Gardevoir now one-hit KOs Dragonpult, and also you can heal all that damage of Gardevoir as well, as long as you've got Lily's Clefairy out and play. I really have the brilliant blender, going that really fast, really aggressive sort of play. Get as many energies in your discard pile as possible, because you obviously aren't going to be discarding them from your Curliers at all, because Refinement has rotated. We've got more of a quicker sort of rare candy sort of build here. We can see here our supporters are very aggressive, having 3 copies of Research, so we have to pretty much force to get discard potentially some really key cards, hence why we're going with 4 copies of Night Stretcher, because this works brilliantly with Brilliant Blender. And obviously Lily's and Pearl is obviously perfect and exactly what you need for Lily's Clefairy, because you don't want to have another 2-price liability on your board state. Let me know what you think about Gardevoir going in post-rotation. I personally think it's not too bad. Right now, we've kind of seen it kind of change a little bit. There were some gimmicky decks which played the likes of Zoroark, which had tried to get away, like even Secret Box, but I think this build here is definitely, to quote quite literally, refined. It is definitely the best sort of style build, which is the most popular one. The ones we're seeing definitely at the top table is this style of Gardevoir in post-rotation. And the next one I'm talking about is Flareon. And this card here, it's really interesting. It hasn't really had any impact at all to our sort of format, but over in Japan, they are loving this deck, and it's doing really, really well. Like I mentioned before, it works well with likes of Crispin, or even if you have the Sparkling Crystal, because you have the EVs as well, so you can evolve right into your Flareon, especially if you're going second. Use its first attack to 130 damage, and then attach some energies from your discard from your deck and put them to your Pokemon in play. One of your Pokemon in play. You have Crispin as well, so you can potentially get out a ton of energies on your second sort of turn. And the other attack as well does 280 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, and you can't attack next turn. I think this is very, very scary as well. Glass Trumpet works well because you can attach to your EVs and then evolve into your Flareons. You also have the Leafeon as well, which is a good sort of mitigating attacking option, which is 60 plus, which is very, very powerful. And I generally feel like it's a really good sort of a rogue style archetype, which is actually dominating right now over in Japan, especially being about 3%. You might go dominating how, but this is above the likes of Slowking, which I really love Slowking right now in the post-rotational format. It has so many good utilizations, Slowking does, and Flareon is really capitalizing on just a very fast, very aggressive archetype, and showing how Crispin is a great sort of supporter card right now, working in the style of like Terra multi-energy style archetypes. And of course you have Briar as well, kind of like cheating the price rate as well, potentially taking 3 prizes, which is very, very powerful. Next one I look at is Zoroark, and this is very similar to how I've been testing Zoroark right now, obviously very similar to the Toxic Sting list. I think this card is very, very good and potentially going to be very underplayed moving forward. Zoroark obviously has the trade ability and can copy any of your attacks of your End's Pokemon on the bench. You're already really focusing on 2, which is Duramatam and Reshiram. Reshiram could do huge amount of damage if it absorbs an attack with its outrage attack, and like so Duramatam could do 90 plus and 90 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. We are in a format which doesn't have that much bench barrier at all, except for like some a Rabska, so kind of like guaranteeing it's easy to have 2-price KO against the likes of Dragapult, against the likes of Shenpao, against the likes of Gardevoir. It's really, really scary in these sort of style archetypes, which aren't already running any sort of protection at all. I really like that people are really focusing more on End's Castle. Having that free retreat is really good. Go between your and Zoroark. I love the reversal energy. Make sure you can go for that single prize offset by having the Duramatam. So it's also Defiance Band as well. I really like this one. Some people are playing 1-1 split, or potentially just 2 copies of Bade Mochi, because that also is pretty much a guaranteed doing even more damage with having that Petron out in play. I think Unfair Stamp is a great sort of disruptive sort of aspect for what Zoroark really has to offer. You already have a ton of draw factor as well. Disrupt the opponent, and that can pretty much win them entire game. We have got a game coming out in a few weeks' time where it actually shows how scary Unfair Stamp is into certain decks and pretty much unable to draw out of this one unless you have a good stable board state. So that's kind of where I see Zoroark really focused right now. It's not doing as well as people would have really hoped it would do. I think Hop's deck is definitely much faster, much more aggressive. It's in that one-hit kill, which we're used to, but give it some time. I think this deck here is going to definitely skyrocket over. And also look at Ceruledge as well. The deck, again, it's still trying to figure out what it wants to do in post-rotation. Has likes of Crispin, which I really like decks which are now really focusing and really capitalizing on how powerful Crispin is, because this can get your Dark Energy for Monkey Dory and generally your energy attachment for turn for Ceruledge. It does play a ton of different style of energies. But I do like it's really focusing on these special energy, having a luminous energy, having a jet energy. What I don't think like about this too much is if you focus more on basic energies, it makes the likes of Squawkabilly and Earthen Vessel a much stronger sort of play. So you are a little bit slower in that sort of regard. But we are seeing some other good sort of attacking options. We're seeing the likes of Cornerstone Master Ogerpon and Budu as that good destructive case, limiting the opponent from even doing damage to you. But also having the likes of Tapu Koko, I just mentioned before, is in the Tera Box right now, 60 plus the amount of huge damage counter, your bench size. It's just a really good attacking option as well and has a free retreat. Very, very powerful. Obviously, it does have now a really good new draw engine. It does have that Revenant Room. We mentioned already it works well in Archaludon. Why not work in Ceruledge? It's still trying to figure out what's the best partner, and this one is really good. Getting energy and discard power, drawing TO6, very, very powerful. Potentially could see a good sort of play moving forward. I really like how Ceruledge is doing. And I will kind of finish on talk about Feraligatr, the deck which won the Champions League over Japan, and it is still kind of kicking right now. This was one of the winning lists from yesterday, and it is pretty strong. A little bit of few changes what it's done. Obviously, adding that extra copy of Relicamp, which is really good, as it's obviously very crucial for Feraligatr actually constantly utilizing the attacks from Crawdon and Totodile. And obviously, Marilotic is really good, especially blocking terrors, as if we're seeing the likes of a Tera Box kind of like skyrocket up to the top tables right now, it's stopping that, obviously, the likes of Dragonpult, but now also the Tera Box as well, all the Ogerpons as well. But of course, obviously, the Wellspring Mars Ogerpon can damage your bench as well. So definitely something to be a little bit more careful about. But generally, I think this Feraligatr deck, if we see likes of a Tera Box kind of like continue to have success, I could see this deck definitely also increase in its plus of play numbers. So kind of like looking ahead, where do we really think Gholdengo is going to go? I really like Gholdengo right now. It definitely is still figuring out his partner right now. What's the best one? Is it Dragonpult? Is it having this Sizzle? Is it having sort of the Dunsparce? So there's definitely some way to kind of like play around this one. I think Tera Box is definitely here to stay. It is definitely taken the format completely by storm. And don't get me wrong, when we come to the regionals, I will not be surprised if this could be potentially a 15 to even something even a 20% archetype. It is very fast, very aggressive, and so difficult for some decks to really respond to this one. And like I said, can decks really keep up Dragonpult? Well, I think the answer really is this Tera Box. It really has kept Dragonpult really in check. When we were playing a few games about it yesterday, I really saw how powerful Tera Box really is, really limiting what Dragonpult can really have to offer. So that's something to be really crucial when you're thinking about your post-rotation, when you're thinking about what is doing well. That's exactly the deck which I think you should really keep in mind. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment down below what you think is your favorite post-rotation deck as of right now. My name is Charizard TCG, and I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.